Mabuhay Manila, this is Aishidel from ManilaShaker.com, and it's bare months now, and some of you might start to save for Christmas to buy new phones, or some are thinking of replacing their phones with the most recent and latest handsets. But what are the in-demand phones right now? Well, this year is the era of 5G, and most phones this year launch with 5G capability. In fact, there are so many including lower mid-ranger, higher mid-ranger, and premium mid-range. But in this video, we will rank them from the lowest price, and before you decide to buy if it's worth upgrading to 5G, here's our top picks for a budget 5G you can get in the mid-range category. Now these devices are the latest launch this year that you can buy right now here in the Philippines. First on the list is the jam-packed Poco M3 Pro 5G. It has the cheapest price on the list with 8,990 pesos price tag for 4GB and 64GB. And you will experience 5G, Full HD, and 90Hz in under the 9,000 pesos price range. Opting for a higher RAM and storage will cost 11,990 pesos. The Poco M3 Pro 5G is available in 3 color variants: Poco Yellow, Power Black, and Cool Blue. It features a plastic back, a glass front, and a punch hole cutout in the middle. It has a hybrid dual nano SIM slot and micro SD slot, which means you can only put 2 nano SIM cards or 1 nano SIM card plus an SD card. But it is expandable up to 512GB. On the front side, it boasts a 6.5-inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD with a 90Hz refresh rate and 405 ppi density. It is also protected with Corning Gorilla Glass 3. The cameras have a triple camera setup consisting of 48 megapixel main, 2 megapixel macro, and 2 megapixel depth sensor. Rarely, mid-rangers doesn't have ultra-wide these days. In contrast, the selfie is an 8 megapixel front cam. Under the hood, it is powered by the mainstream 5G mid-range chipset MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G with a 7nm process. It is paired with 4+64 or 6+128 configuration. It also runs on the latest Android 11 with MIUI 12 on top. Meanwhile, powering all those specs is a 5000 mAh battery with an 18W fast charging. Next is the Redmi Note 10 5G. It is priced with 1,000 pesos more from the Poco with a price tag of 9,990 pesos for 4GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, while the higher configuration is priced at 11,990 pesos with 6GB of RAM. Available in chrome silver, graphite gray, nighttime blue, and aurora green, the Redmi Note 10 5G is built with a plastic back and a glass front with a hole punch cutout in the middle. It also uses a hybrid SIM slot, but it is expandable up to 512GB. The display is equipped with the same 6.5-inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD with a 90Hz refresh rate and 405 ppi density. The front is also protected with Corning Gorilla Glass 3. For its cameras, it has a triple camera setup, 48 megapixel main, 2 megapixel macro, and 2 megapixel depth sensor, while the selfie is an 8 megapixel front cam. Powering up the device is the same MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G with a 7nm process, then paired with 4GB and 128GB storage. It runs on the latest Android 11 with MIUI 12 on top, and a chunky 5000 mAh battery with an 18W fast charging. The two phones, Poco M3 Pro 5G and Redmi Note 10 5G, share similar specs with different price range. I guess it's a matter of design and preference if you nitpick these two phones from Xiaomi. Next up, the third phone on our list is the Moto G50 5G. It only has one configuration and it is currently priced at 10,495 for the 4GB of RAM and 128GB internal storage. Available in meteorite gray, the Moto G50 5G is built with unspecified Corning Gorilla Glass protection and plastic back. It also has a dewdrop notch instead of a hole punch cutout. It is also a hybrid SIM, but it can expand up to 1TB via micro SD. As for the display, it boasts a 6.5-inch screen but with HD Plus IPS LCD only. Compared to the first two phones, it has half the resolution, but it also has a 90Hz refresh rate, so it is reasonably great. Moto G50 5G has a triple camera setup, 48 megapixel on the primary snapper, and 2 megapixel for macro and depth sensors. At the same time, the selfie is higher at 13 megapixel front lens. Under the hood, it is also equipped with a MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G with a 7nm process and paired with 4GB of RAM and 128GB storage. As for the software, it runs on the stock Android 11 OS, which is a light and simple stock Android experience. Now for the battery, Moto G50 5G is backed by the same 5000 mAh battery but with a slightly lower 15W fast charging. It is probably a value-wise smartphone with a stock Android experience and more resolution in the primary camera. Moving on, the Realme 8 5G is our fourth pick, having a price tag of 11,990 pesos for 8GB of RAM and 128GB of internal storage. It has two colorways, Supersonic Blue and Supersonic Black. The back is made of plastic while the front is glass with no advertisement for whether it has a Gorilla Glass protection. But it features a smaller punch hole cutout on the top left side. Design-wise, the Realme 8 5G will give a better undistracted viewing experience. Meanwhile, it has a dual nano SIM card slot and an expandable storage slot that expands up to 1TB. It boasts a 6.5-inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD with a 90Hz refresh rate capability and a 405 ppi density. The camera is also a triple camera setup with the same 48MP and 2MP for both macro and depth, while the selfie is much higher at 16MP front cam. The Realme 8 5G has the same MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G with a 7nm process and paired with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of internal storage. As for the software, it runs on the latest Android 11 with Realme UI 2.0 on top. The battery is back with the same 5000mAh battery and with an 18W fast charging. It is priced higher with its higher RAM capacity and higher front cam. Now for the last phone, it is the Oppo A74 5G with a 15,999 pesos SRP, but it's on our list because it is currently priced at 12,499 pesos on Shopee and Lazada. And I know there are other phones that are worth mentioning like the OnePlus Nord N10 5G and Samsung Galaxy A22 5G, and they are both priced at 13,990 pesos, which is almost 8,000 pesos more in our sub 13K price range. But if you have extra bucks, you should check them out also. Furthermore, the Oppo A74 5G is available in two color variants, Fluid Black and Space Silver. It features a plastic back and a glass back, with a punch hole cutout well placed on the top left side. It also has a micro SD card slot that can expand up to 256GB. For the display, it is equipped with a 6.5-inch Full HD Plus LTPS IPS LCD and a 90Hz refresh rate. It also has a 405 ppi density. The camera consists of a quad camera setup with a 48MP main shooter, 8MP ultra-wide, and 2MP for both macro and depth. The selfie is the same as the Realme 8 5G with a 16MP front shooter. Meanwhile, powering up the Oppo A74 5G is a Snapdragon 480 5G 8nm process. This is the only phone equipped with a Snapdragon chipset on our list, so Snapdragon fans, you now have an option. Also, the only thing that this phone has compared to the rest on the list is the ultra-wide sensor, and it might be one of the reasons why it has a higher price than the rest. As for the software, it runs on the latest Android 11 with ColorOS 11.1 on top, while the battery is a chunky 5000mAh battery and with an 18W fast charging capability. Overall, these devices are bang for the buck and affordable 5G smartphones as of date under 13K price. Specs are almost the same as the rest, and if the price goes up, it ups some specs as well. So before the Christmas season, if you're not expecting other 5G phones to arrive in the Philippines, we are waiting for those devices also, but right now, you have a lot of options. So what do you think? Is it worth upgrading? Or you'll wait for the next 3 months for you to decide? Let us know in the comment section below. That's all guys, again this is Aishadel from ManilaShaker.com. Thank you for watching, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and don't forget to visit ManilaShaker.com for more tech news, reviews, and comparison of the latest device. Mabuhay, Manila!